Yeah, we used to do that in school.
I told Bailey yesterday I've cut it. I said, I ain't giving you no more money. I said, I'm going to put gas in your car and that's it.
20 seconds, man.
You want spending money, you figure it out yourself. I got it all figured out.
I know it's just
Kelly. You're right. Thank you. My bank would try.
great.
Are we ready? Yes, sir.
No.
Tape's not ready yet.
Yeah, we're good.
We're good.
Start it. Let's go.
Yes, sir. Bring to order the Lawrenceburg Redevelopment Commission meeting of December 10th, 2018. Call to order, please.
Executive Director Brian Messmore.
Here.
Chairman Tony Abbott.
Here.
Vice Chairman Randy Abner.
Here.
Secretary Dennis Hutchins.
Present.
Member Owen Kress.
Here.
Member Paul Seymour Sr.
Present.
School Board Member Brian Johnson.
Present.
City Attorney Del Weldon.
Here. Alrighty, moving on to the minutes of the previous meeting. If everybody's had a chance to look at them, make a motion to approve or add to.
So moved.
Motion to approve by Dennis. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second down there. All in favor?
Aye.
Minutes are approved. Any announcements? Any announcements from the board or anything? Move on to the financial report. Boy, this meeting's going quick.
Oh, don't jinx it. As of December 4th, the balance for redevelopment is $1,968,976.75. And after committed project monies, the balance is $1,036,612.48.
Board all right with that? Any questions? Here now, we'll move on to new business. Justin and Natalie Noppert.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
just as a matter of order, we'll have two presentations this evening, and Mr. Harris had a medical emergency this morning, so I will read his portion of his cover letter anyway in his absence, and then the outcome of tonight would be, if the board so chooses, to direct me to continue to negotiate and or take under advisement the presentations from this evening.
We'll put that in shorts. We're going to pick one of the three for the firehouse tonight. Hopefully.
We will.
That'd be great.
Okay.
That would be great.
Okay.
All right. Justin?
Good evening. My name is Justin Noppert.
And I'm Natalie Noppert. We are the owners and operators of Brewster & Poor, and we are residents of downtown Lawrenceburg. We want to thank you all for your time and the opportunity to present our proposal. We hope you've had the chance to review what we've submitted in writing, and in that packet you'll find additional details and information. So we have a unique proposal that we believe matches the city's vision for its future and the vision for its downtown business and entertainment district. Brewster & Poor has operated locally for 6 years, faithfully serving this community and building a reputation and name recognition. We have always looked forward to becoming a brick-and-mortar establishment if the right opportunity presented itself. And Brewster & Poor is looking to continue its artisan espresso and coffee service while expanding to include craft beer and specialty foods to reach a broader demographic. So tonight we will present to you how our proposal offers unique benefits to the city, how the city and our downtown will benefit from Brewster & Poor acquiring this space, and a vision for what Brewster & Poor will be like in that space.
First, I'd like to share with you the unique benefits that our proposal will offer. Brewster & Poor proposes to purchase the firehouse outright for $88,500, which I believe that is the recent reacquisition cost to the city. We request to partner with the city to fund the completion of the white boxing phase of the renovation, and we've provided certain guarantees to minimize the risk to the city. Essentially, we believe it's our job to assume the risk to invest in the restaurant enterprise while asking the city to invest in a key property that will retain its value. We're offering to purchase the firehouse building outright. By doing so, the city will quickly recoup that money that was spent on the reacquisition. We're proposing to use my contracting company, Freedom Development LLC, to perform the white boxing phase and the finishing phase of the firehouse. This will greatly accelerate the speed of the renovation, and additionally, we think this will offer a great savings to the city as well. Freedom Development has both the resume and the capacity for this build. We've offered specific guarantees to the city. We gladly welcome accountability and performance checks throughout the renovation. We've offered the city the first right of purchase to minimize your risk. To be clear, the city will be investing in the property, which will retain its value and increase the value of that building exponentially. And if our endeavor were to fail or to end within 3 years of the purchase, we provided the plan for the city to recover the building with its improvements. In short, the city gains a fully operational, compliant building housing an innovative and specific specialty craft food and beverage service while not assuming the risk of investing specifically in the restaurant industry.
So secondly, we'd like to highlight the benefits that we feel Brewster & Pour Espresso and Tap will bring to the city and to the downtown. We believe that Brewster & Pour will provide the city with the anchor that it needs to appeal to a wide demographic in this particular space that is highly regarded and sits obviously right next to the multi-use civic park. So we all agree that we want more restaurant and beverage destinations in the downtown. We believe that what we offer is a unique experience and has broad appeal. As both an espresso beverage house and a tap house for craft beer, we have the flexibility and the products to transition throughout the day, from morning till night, and throughout the week and into the weekend. Our menu and the space offer wide appeal to both locals and to visitors, to regulars and to those who just happen to be in downtown, to professionals, to young adults, and to those wanting a place to work and network, and also to those who are just looking to unwind. We offer the ability for quick turnaround during crowded times. Our focused menu and our kind of beverage service allow for greater flexibility than just dining in. And lastly, we offer complete and functional use of the entire building for the benefit of residents and businesses. With the proposed upstairs being renovated for conference and meeting rooms, along with a shared office space, we believe many other businesses, nonprofits, and startups will also benefit from the Brewster & Pour Firehouse.
Thirdly, we'd like to offer a vision for what Brewster & Pour Espresso and Tap will look like. We're the first stop for your daily coffee and espresso drinker to get their morning started. We're the community space for collaboration to happen, hosting Ivy Tech student groups over a shared appetizer or a 5 o'clock drink to make a business meeting more casual. We're the place for a mom and her son that they can run inside and grab a snack and wait out the rain when the park day gets interrupted by spring showers. We're the place you go for a unique live music venue on a Friday night, or the perfect spot to host a special event. And while creating an environment in which everyone can find something to enjoy, we can uniquely and particularly draw a more affluent demographic through craft beer and artisan espresso beverages.
In summary, Brewster & Pour Espresso and Tap answers the need for a welcoming and inspiring place in Lawrenceburg to receive well-crafted beverages and food products and excellent service while building a sense of community. Through collaboration with the city gains an attractive and specialty food and beverage destination, a thorough and expedient renovation of a vital landmark and property, and a partnership with us, local residents, who are also committed to the betterment of the city. Through our proposal, you would have partners who are equally invested with skin in the game, and partners offering guarantees and minimize risk to the city. So we thank you for your time tonight. We appreciate this opportunity to present our proposal for Brewster & Pour Espresso and Tap, and we look forward to fielding any questions and discussion as necessary.
Yeah, thank you.
Could you go back to, next presentation, could you go back to the part about the right to purchase the city? Could you be a little more specific about that?
Yeah, so we have some of the specificity of that in the original packet that we submitted. I don't know.
No, I just want to hear you talk about it.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So this is, yeah, so we're saying, and obviously there's, the restaurant business is fickle. The food service industry is one of the number one failing businesses in the country. We understand that. That's why one of the reasons why we're very focused on what our menu will provide and the products and services will provide. As for the first right of purchase, we would offer the city back any money that was given to us to help with this venture would be offered back if we were to close the doors within a certain amount of time. We've
Okay.
suggested 3 years.
You've cleared it up, okay.
Yeah, so any money that we would have, we'd be willing to sell that back to the city for the amount that we paid for it, plus, the improvements.
Can I ask you a backup hypothetical?
Sure.
If you were in there or if you did, let's say you didn't get the project.
Okay.
We love it, but you didn't get it. Somebody else was in there. Would you be willing to take the upstairs portion or to work with whoever's downstairs if they didn't offer the 2 specific areas that you're really addressing here tonight, which is the coffee and the microbrewery?
In the tap house, yeah.
Yeah, the tap house coffee.
Yeah.
And I know when we talked a year ago, we talked about the alley
Yeah.
and the drive-through and how significant that would be. Well,
Yeah.
that's not going to happen
Right.
anymore, as you well know.
Right. We understand
Because
that.
there
yeah.
is no alley anymore.
Right.
But I know that was important to you. I don't know how that affects your numbers, but it has to be relevant.
Sure, it certainly is relevant, and
Okay.
we also understand that there's some newer technology through apps and such that you can get, carry-out service where you
Sure.
can actually,
Drive up,
drive
text
up,
in your order.
run in and grab it, and you don't have to wait in line. So, because
The
expediency
new
is
world.
expediency is a high value, especially for your, the morning crowd as you're trying to get to work. Service, construction, professionals, heading into the office, but also having great quality service as well. So,
And my last question was your timeline again to have it open?
yeah, so it would depend on there take a few months of engineering to get things rolling, and then I think I put the timeline in there.
Well, as you well know, I'm very familiar with the building, so I.
Yes, I'm familiar, and I've already received some bids from specific contractors on some of the costs that are associated with it. But we're looking at probably we have phase 1 to renovate the first floor, and the outside patio area would be about 5 months, and then
Right.
we're looking at completing that, and then moving into phase 2, trying to get things open from there, and then going to phase 2, which we would move upstairs and start working on that, which would be a couple more months.
I'm going to tell you the same thing I'm going to tell anybody else that comes up there tonight. When we put this out for bid, the park, the Civic Park, there was 2 companies that bid on it. And the company that was awarded it said something that night that resonated with me. It's still stuck. And that is that the firehouse was the gem. It was the jewel in the package. And having a history in restaurants and, I built my own convention center at one time, I see that. I got that. And it really woke me up when they said it because, the upstairs can be opened up, and there's no limit to where you can go with this. It could be the hottest place to eat dinner in the region.
Yeah.
I mean, it really could be, even during the day with kids playing out in the park. But so, have you given any thought in phase 2 about the possibilities of that, of really opening it up and balconies and the whole thing?
We absolutely have an understanding that.
That's the exciting part about the firehouse to me.
I think there's definitely potential for that. I know that there's some challenges regarding ADA and the services that you provide on the second floor. And
That
also,
would have to be addressed in a ramp or a lift or
sure,
something.
fire escapes, with secondary egress, in regards to that volume of people. When you get over so much capacity, you would have to, maybe build. And you could build a really cool looking iron fire escape, out of the side. So yeah, there are unlimited possibilities there, and we're not. I don't feel like we're trying to, pigeonhole us into any specific thing for the top. These are some of the vision that we've seen that can be some other economic drivers as well. Just
How about the answer is working with someone else that's in there?
um,
Are you open to that?
We're open. We feel like the first floor is going to best facilitate the environment and the culture that we're trying to create, with being a very unique place to go. Also having very very different from your ordinary restaurant or bar, where we're doing artisan coffee, we're doing artisan espresso, we're doing craft beers, and just trying to bring really a more affluent culture of people that are going to come down and at the same time be able to cater to our regulars as well, such as myself and yourselves.
Some of the hopes certainly, obviously that downstairs has the benefit of having a lot of movement and fluidity. I mean, people coming in and out, enjoying the civic park, whatever events are going on there, as well as coming in, grabbing a drink.
And the splash pad is right there too, you know. it's
Right.
Yeah.
outside, so.
We really want it to build a community space that really has something for everyone, and that includes families, it includes, you know, moms who want to get together with their little ones, and as well be able to transition into really partnering well for the entertainment district as well.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the board?
Just one sales volumes that you predict for your first couple of years.
Yeah, I mean, there's some fluidity to that.
Yeah, I understand.
And we certainly would shoot to start out in the $300,000 to $400,000 range
Okay.
for the first couple years, but hoping to grow closer to that $1 million mark pretty quickly to keep things moving forward. We recently interviewed a very similar company with a similar culture that we're trying to create, and up in Ypsilanti, Michigan, they have the exact same thing: tap artisan espresso and craft beer, and they're 3 years old and they're doing $1.5 to $2 million this year.
There's also a handful of somewhat similar businesses that are just right here in the greater Cincinnati area that are partnering espresso drinks with wine, espresso drinks with craft beer. There's probably at least 4 or 5 very regionally close that we could look into and also kind of show numbers of how successful they've been. Again, all fairly new and doing really well even in their first handful of years.
Any other questions?
Just one teasing question. This won't interfere with you building your new house for redevelopment, will it?
No, it won't.
Okay.
It won't.
I had to ask.
Yeah.
That thing's going up fast.
Yeah. And we're very grateful to you guys for being a partner with us on that as well.
Well, we're excited about the house. We are.
Thank y'all for your time. I really appreciate
Thank you.
it.
Thank you. Bob Rizzo up next. Firehouse Grill Restaurant.
For anybody that doesn't know me, I'm Bob Rizzo. It's my son, Mike Rizzo. First question, has everybody received a copy on the board of the proposals? Anybody need one? Sure.
Left mine at the house.
He's
we grab
getting
one more,
older
please?
now.
I was in a hurry, get out.
Thank you. Oh, I was getting it for you.
I was just gonna wait for you to email it.
Our proposal, the firehouse building. I'm very enthused, impressed. I've been looking at it for quite some time. I'm impressed with the history of the building. I'd like to emphasize that. We're looking to make a full family restaurant with a bar in it. That'd be family friendly. Full service kitchen on the first floor, everything there, and with options moving in phase 2 upstairs and expanding that into additional use of that second floor. I have some more specific ideas on that that'll come, but purchasing the building will let us pay taxes on that and add to your TIF package. So you're beginning monies towards your TIF district. Right now, the name that we're choosing for is the Firehouse Grill Restaurant. That's our first choice. We're open to ideas. If there's a better name that comes forward, we're certainly willing to consider that. But we would like to give tribute to the firehouse since it's a part of Lawrenceburg history, since it was the very first city hall and first firehouse for the city. I certainly want to pay tribute to that, and one of my pictures in there indicated that we certainly would make all the tributes to recognizing the value of that building. So, anything, Mike may want to add some stuff or right away before you get to questions.
Yeah, I'm Mike Rizzo, and basically our concept is to stick with what we do best and have other folks stick to what they do best. So our concept is basically, when we approached you about a year ago, we had somebody lined up to run the restaurant in there. At that time, you didn't want to entertain those options because you wanted to go through this process and get the park under the way, which I fully understood. So when we approached this RFP, what we did is we went to about 3 or 4 different operators, all of which are top-tier people of which you would know that would run the restaurant. We're not in the restaurant business, we're in the development business, and this is a fantastic development. My wife and I go out to eat every Friday night. It's our thing. And although we love all the current facilities here, there's not enough. There's not enough opportunities, options for us. So we end up going out of town about 25% of the time just for some variety. What we're proposing, and the people that we've talked to, it will definitely be top tier. We're talking, good craft beers. We're talking family environment, and a unique family experience. It's not going to be something that's already downtown. And there were 2 approaches that we had: to come at you and say, all right, we're gonna offer $100,000 for the building, and then and of course we can do all our own development engineering in house. Or our approach was, we're going to purchase the building for $100 is what we had in there, and then on option A, and then we're not, we're going to ask for some participation in the development, but we're going to introduce most of our funds through the development. So as opposed to paying you a top dollar for the building and then coming back and say, well, partner with us over here in the development side of it. So that was our approach. We are heavily invested in the downtown now. We feel like that we have the experience to do what the city needs with this building, and we certainly, as my father spoke, we certainly want to preserve the history, the very unique history of that building, and emphasize that. So I think that covered about everything we wanted to say.
Just elaborate. We presently own multiple properties in Lawrenceburg and taxpayer for that, and want to continue to expand in that. I'm all for owning the buildings and investing in the properties and making sure that they're successful. Everything we've done, both building-wise, has been 100% successful. Our engineering business, I have probably nearly 600 properties that we've done engineering for that are uniquely restaurants, business establishments that have all been successful. So we're very experienced in design of this type of work, and would offer our services, provide our services for the design of this, which we already gave you preliminary design in the booklet, and would act as construction manager, general contractor for this as well, which would be some cost savings as well. So we're very experienced in that type of work as well. That's something we do all the time. So it's something I'm like to have the properties in Lawrenceburg and make them successful. So
and just to add, I know you're going to ask the question on the timeline. Don't see any real problems with making the date for the park opening.
So you could stick with your timeline and your proposal?
Yeah, I don't see any reason why we couldn't. I think that's all we had.
yeah, just open for questions.
Questions from the board?
I got one.
Go ahead, Dennis.
Could you guys talk about, like I asked Justin and his wife, about Phase 2?
Yes.
In some detail, please?
Sure, absolutely. Phase 2, we'd like to get Phase 1 started, which is first floor, get established, functioning, so it starts.
Well, in all fairness to the audience, Phase 1, you put in your proposal, you anticipated being done by the time the park opens.
Yes.
So we'll use that as a timeline.
Yes.
And then you say that you would be willing to start Phase 2 at that time in your proposal. Once you have the certificates of occupancy and things
yes,
like that.
business going, we'd like to then start going towards Phase 2.
So that's the timeline I'm thinking.
Yes.
Okay, so
Yes.
what would you do?
Phase 2, I had 2 options. One is some form of unique offices upstairs or additional dining experiences upstairs. And the more I keep elaborating, I think the dining options have a lot of benefit upstairs, and particularly opening out to the park. Opening that upstairs to the park would be a huge value to the people dining upstairs, and I think it would draw a lot of people looking to be up there as well. So I think that's an excellent way to go. Did I
The
give you enough
square
detail?
footage up there is significant. I mean, it's a big upstairs.
Oh, it is, yes. There's a lot of potential by far.
If you looked at the side of the firehouse, could you cantilever balcony off of there and the whole thing? Is
Yes,
that
we could. It
possible?
would actually give some shelter to the downstairs,
To the picnic, or not the picnic, but the outside area.
outside as well. So we'd put
How many
about,
tables did you have outside in your drawing?
I think we had, did you count them? Go ahead.
It was just more or less, the drawing is just more or less, kind of a.
It's a rendering, I
Yeah,
get
it
it.
would, so it would fit.
But what was shown on here, let's see,
25.
So you could cover a third of that with
I think it shows
cantilevered off.
Oh, yeah.
13 on there
Yeah,
now. So
certainly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we certainly want to have our structural folks look into that first before.
yeah.
You know, we left the sprinkler fountain thing in for the kids. We left that in the park on the steering committee. And one of the things I had hoped for when we did that was whoever used this, because I knew that was going to be a vacated alley. It was just a matter of time when it got done. But whoever has that and has that balconies there or the restaurant there, I mean, all the people that bring their kids that want to play there, they're going to eat where that restaurant is and they're going to drink where that restaurant is. So that's a huge advantage.
Definitely.
And I guess my second and most important question is, Mike, you said there's 3 to 4 people that you've talked to, or operators, let's call them operators.
Yeah.
Can you share any ideas on, if you can't give us names, give us food types or the type of menu that they would offer, please?
Yes, I mean, we're talking,
They're all out of town operators. Nobody locally we're asking to.
No, I get that, Bob. I'm asking
Go
what
ahead.
type of food type choice do
yeah,
you offer?
I guess what he was,
Just
what he was trying
clarifying.
to say, to make sure we're not moving one person from one downtown location to another. That's not what our goal was.
So you're not moving Bob O over to the...
Not at all.
I think Bobo was thinking about it.
We're talking steak, seafood, Cajun,
Okay.
that type of thing. These are not, they're going to be, it's going to be affordable fine dining, okay? So it's not going to be, it's going to be something that your everyday folks can eat at, but it's going to be a nice dining. I give you just
Affordable.
maybe affordable, yes, affordable. So, and one thing that I wanted to clarify, we were having on the question on phase 2, just in case people in the audience aren't aware of that, because that is it's a tall building, there's a lot of stairs to get to. Phase 2 doesn't include an elevator.
Good.
And our thoughts were actually to have the elevator face the park and do a glass front elevator. So
Awesome.
It'd be very appealing from the park. You'd say, wow, I better go see what's up there. All these people are going up and down the elevator. Let's.
So we definitely don't want to put rocks in the gardens in the park?
no.
Are you thinking about any changes to the levee breaker, like making it non-smoking or in conjunction with this project?
Excellent question. Big, major question. We have a good answer for you. We want to make some changes. Mike can probably elaborate a little bit on that.
Yeah, we actually had a bunch of discussions on that, and we're looking at some pretty significant changes to that establishment going into this next year, and we're in talks with that right now. So.
Yeah, and before you guys came in, we just had a meeting about the new apartment complex, and when those 250 people walk down towards downtown, yours first restaurant they're gonna, the levee break is the first thing they're gonna see.
Yeah.
And that's just an incredible opportunity.
We don't want to miss that opportunity. We feel we could enhance or do some things there that would fit your city's master plan, and we're totally on board with that.
Awesome.
That development is being underutilized right now, and we plan to change that in this coming year. And I don't want to get into too many details in a public meeting, but certainly as we have more discussions, we can.
That's exciting. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
I'd like to add another thing to you guys. We didn't say it to Justin, and I should have, but we've always known on redevelopment, and the mayor has said it as well, that, and Brian, we're going to have to do something to help out in those buildings when we develop them. This building, the firehouse, is step one in the whole track there.
Yes.
So, you know, what we do there sets a precedent for what we're going to do in the Carpenters Union and the Scudder property and the Thomas property and the other 2 row houses that we own. And, I mean, so it's important.
You're exactly right. And since
Very
Mike had
important.
mentioned the perhaps 4 options that we have, and I think he can elaborate beyond this, what we would
Yeah, let me-
be willing to do.
That's one thing, that's a good point, and I wanted to mention it. We wanted the city, so our purpose here tonight is to see if there's some traction here, and we want the city to be involved in that operator that we choose, okay? But they're all really good, high-quality options, and so my suggestion is we find other places for these other individuals. They all want to be down here, and I think that we can work together and find locations in the end for everybody. But
Well, we just finished a meeting a half hour ago that is getting us one step closer to 150 apartments. And those are all millennials and empty nesters. And it's a big deal for Lawrenceburg because Dell brought up, or one of the attorneys brought up, that we can't even put a number to what impact that's going to have in Lawrenceburg. But I can tell you the one thing, it's going to have a big impact on restaurants and food.
Sure.
And, you know, we have to start thinking about things like that.
Sure.
And that's important.
That's a vision I had when I looked a number of years ago.
Yeah, because the
Have the same
millennials
vision.
that are there are going to hopefully build a house in Lawrenceburg someday. And their kids will go to Lawrenceburg schools.
Yes.
Okay, so we're going to feed that pump. We're going to be the pump for the school system and things, or at least this is going to contribute to it. That's how I see it. My wife and I weren't born here. We've been here for almost 21, 22 years now. And we love this town, and we give a lot of our time. And I know, Bob, I know you and your son do the same thing. And Justin and all the guys. But this is an important thing that we're doing here tonight to start this process.
I totally concur.
Okay.
thank
Any
you very
other
much.
questions?
So, any other questions?
All right, guys, thank you.
All right,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Mr. Messmore, you like to go through the next one, Fire Dog Kitchen?
Well, I
and
guess
Bar?
the first thing I should say is that the next presenter who was to be here this evening was introduced to us by Mr. Rezzo about a year ago.
Brian, could you come up to the podium so we can see you a little better?
You like it when I stand up
I
there,
like
don't
it
you?
when you're up there.
He has better aim at short distances.
Yes,
Brian.
I do.
Don't call him short in public.
I can see what's coming. It's the back I got to watch out for. So anyway, I just wanted to be clear on that Mr. Rezzo introduced us to Darren Harris about a year ago, I believe, and in while we were people who have been around town and expressed interest in properties, he was on the list, and he also got contacted. So that was just the way it turned out. So, and he had a medical emergency this morning. I don't need to go into great detail, but it's a family member, and today was the day that something had to be done. He says that we are very excited to present our proposal to develop a creative, modern atmosphere for families and friends to gather for a casual, modern culinary experience. Want a venue for tourists seeking the local spot where business persons can meet with clients, families can gather after kids' sports games, events, responsible, safe nightlight destination, local gem to the downtown entertainment district. Something the city could be proud of. They offered to the commitment to the city of Lawrenceburg to honor and preserve the heritage and history of the old firehouse, the building, the community, and the region. It goes on to discuss he has a family of first responders, police, fire, EMS. He is also himself was a retired police officer. So the desire to maintain the character of the old firehouse certainly rings well. Some restaurant experience, I think that is at Giuseppe's Pizza. He had one of those, and it was #1 pizza in a restaurant in Covington. Has participated in competitions. 2013, an opportunity arose to purchase the Hebron Grill. That's where we were introduced to them through the Rezos, and expand his culinary abilities. Again, they were there to turn around a business. They were showing profit within a year. In 2015, he was voted, Darren being voted the best chef in Northern Kentucky by the Northern Kentucky Magazine. He's consequently sold the pizza business. He also noted that he agreed to help open at one time the River City Tap and Grill, but decided that his vision and was not didn't match what was going on. So in 2017, opened Arthur's Bistro on the Green and Meadowood Golf Course, and is having a profit at that restaurant. He's owned Hebron Grill for 6 years, continues to grow each year. He has a contract pending to sell in January, and would be focusing full-time on the firehouse project. Lists some awards: Culinary Fight Club judge and Kansas City Barbecue Society judge, and owns Slow Sugar Barbecue Team. In his proposal, as you have seen, to be consistent with the other two presenters this evening, the menu has been provided similar to the Rezzo's presentation. The difference in his proposal and the previous two is his as presented as a lease, and would be asking the city to subsequently fund the build-out, the white box, to meet the specifications, the layout of his preference. I don't think that's any more or less than the other two presented.
I'd like to add something to Brian's remarks.
Yeah.
My wife and I and the Schneiders back there have been to his restaurant many times in Hebron, and it's fantastic. The guy knows what he's doing. I met him when he was working with Greg for a short period and at Whiskey City, and we've gone to his restaurant. I'll tell you, he's a hell of an operator. His food is delicious. I like him a lot. And lastly, I'd like to say, everybody knows it's not really lastly, but I think we've been very, very fortunate tonight to have 3 good proposals. And I'm very happy about that. We've got some options here, you know. I don't know where you want to go, Mr. Chairman, from there.
Well, the decision's going to be hard. I mean, we want to move on and get this firehouse project going. It's got 3 good proposals, like you said. And whether one stands out more than the other, it's not what we would vote on tonight is not a guarantee, because we could always back off of it, because we're going to vote for him to work with Brian to come up with what's the name for it there?
Development agreement.
Development agreement. So anybody wouldn't be out of the race if we didn't come up with something.
So how do you want to proceed? Do you want to talk about them, or?
Well, yeah, I'm open to discussion. We'd like to pick one tonight. I'm
Would?
sure everybody here wants one picked tonight.
I want to wait till after the first of the year. I'm still thinking.
No.
You're slow thinking.
That's right.
I'd like us to proceed tonight if possible. Do we dare open this up to any questions short-lived from the audience or not? Mr. Chairman, your choice.
Anybody from the audience like to make a comment? You just want a restaurant.
I think it's exciting to see some presentations. I'm tickled to death.
Me too.
You know, we bring them in, we got a certain amount of buildings that we're going to try to do things with, that this is what I've asked for from the beginning. It's a big decision. It's a very important building. I agree. I think is it the gym? I hope they're all gyms. When I look around the park, I see the row houses with some balconies. I see some things going on there. We have the option we've got a lot across from the firehouse that we could do something with. We've got the Carpenter's Hall and then the lots that we bought from Thomas and Scudder. So my one statement would be, you've got all these lots. Maybe you brought up the point that maybe the coffee shop would like to be upstairs, but the one thing I'd like you to think about is if you make these choices and you like the presentations, don't forget about your other spots, even the blank lots. But the one thing I'll say that to back that up a little bit, I know when everybody's going to shoot for it, and I know we got a commitment to get it done. And you don't never want to take days away from the guy to get things done. So it would be good to see the movement, but the first year is not that far away either. I know I ain't one to slow things down, but he is a slow thinker. But y'all ought to be careful on this decision. Take some time, and if you've thought about it, fine, but it's a big decision. But I'm tickled that we've made this approach tonight.
It's a big decision, but I think, one of you are going to win the firehouse, but like you said, there's other buildings there for you guys to possibly go in. That Union Hall, I think, is a better building than the firehouse myself. It's fantastic. It's even getting put rooftop dining on it, on side of it. There's already a door there you can take back out to go to the roof. So there's a lot of quality buildings there that make some nice restaurants.
Hey, can I ask Bob? Can you step back at the? Do you have a budget, or is there a limit on what you'll expend in the firehouse? Have you thought about that, or is that an inappropriate question?
Yes.
Well, the first phase, it's not a limit. Just that we had anticipated budgeted like $200,000 for the project, for renovation, to finish building out, make it function on the first floor, including the fire system, sprinkler system, putting the kitchen in, and making the restrooms and all that. So we to do that.
Comfortable with the $200,000 number?
Well, yeah, Mike's thinking maybe more, but I'm comfortable with it. But
so whatever you do there, you're gonna plan for this. If you were the operator,
yeah.
You'll plan for the second floor, all the build outs, the plumb outs, and everything would.
Oh yeah, we'd work in this first phase, but then the major money to do the second floor. Would you plan for it that it could potentially be a different operator up there under your lease, a separate lease? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, that is a viable option. I mean, they're without, especially with the elevator, could be made for a separate entrance.
Got my attention with that glass elevator. I like it.
Well, yeah.
It's just one now.
And I'm going to say,
operated with air.
I'm going to say,
Hot air.
I differ from the experience of my father a little bit. I think we're going to expend a little bit more than $200,000.
Me too.
But that's it's not an issue. We will make it happen. So.
Yeah. Yeah. I did want to comment. We do have a lot of engineering experience. One thing I put in the proposal, mentioned it out in here. My family has. I started out in the engineering business. I think it's very successful. Been doing it for a lot of years and very successful with what we're doing. My family has a immediate family, parents, grandparents. We have had 5 tavern restaurants that have all been very successful, and it's just kind of part of my heritage, and I would like to continue to share that and continue to prosper, make that. So there's some background. I started working in kitchen in one of them when I was 12 years old, in the kitchen, so
There is
That's what-
one thing in
Yeah.
yours, the question that, you said you might trade for the property with
And
the
what?
Vine Street property. Is that the parking lot on Vine Street you're
the
talking
parking
about?
lot in the brick building, that's option B.
The building, what,
There's a brick building there, the corner,
Tracks, Tony.
but,
on the very corner?
yes,
You guys own that now?
yes. We're in the process of renovating it, so it functions as a office building.
That's a beautiful building. I'm glad it's not being torn down.
Oh, no, we're trying to make it, we're working on that. So it includes that plus the parking lot.
Alrighty.
So,
Tony, Janice wanted to come up.
You need to come up to the microphone, ma'am.
In Whiskey City Sweet Retreat, and I will say we're in need of more morning places as well as evening dining, but, and I also think we are in need of more things to grab the younger attention. You know, just evening dining is good, but it also gets stale. As somebody had said, that they go outside of the city to find dining for he and his wife on Friday nights. And I think we need that, but I think we need something that's different. I mean, that has been, I think, my catch with the Sweet Retreat is it's something different. And again, Saturday morning, people are hunting high and low because Lanny's closed for coffee, which we have, and we have breakfast. But we do need that for Sundays also, for people who visit town, who live in town. And really, Strong's is the only thing right down here that you have for dinners, other than if you go out to Whiskey's, you know, or Lawrenceburg. But anyway, that's all I want to say, is to put that into your thinking that we do need morning and evening places.
Yep.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman,
you.
if you want to do a canvas, I'm ready to give you mine on the picks.
You guys can make a motion anytime you wish.
I just was going to give you a canvas and see if you would go that way and see how we come out.
Okay.
My selections for the three tonight would be, I would put the Rizzos first, I would put Justin second, and I would put the, what's the name of it?
Brewster and Ford. I'm the
Harris.
The third one would be the Hebron Grill operator.
third one.
And I like all three, but that would be my order.
Anybody else on the board want to?
It sounds pretty good.
I agree.
I agree with you on that.
Mr. Snyder. So,
I just had a question on the gentleman from the Hebron Grill. I didn't hear in the presentation what he was, how, as far as assistance, money, how was that? You didn't mention anything.
Well, if I recall, I think I referenced that he was the distinguished wanted to lease versus buy, and
Okay.
expected us to white box
And then lease it to him?
and then lease it to him.
Tom, I don't really think he got a good pitch.
No, I don't think
I
so
don't,
either.
Yeah.
I'm not giving Brian any credit, but I think that fella ought to have an opportunity to come in and make his pitch.
I agree. I think we should table the vote until they can come.
I agree,
And I think we ought to wait till after the
what-
first of the year.
I agree with you, but one of the things that was said at the last meeting was you wanted to sell the buildings, okay, so that they would generate tax dollars and TIF.
I didn't hear that.
we had talked about that. That's what I would like to do. I mean,
That-
you're
that-
right.
that-
Make it all TIF
That
area.
it would generate TIF. If you lease a building and it fails, you're right back here with the same thing.
But they're saying that the life of a new restaurant's about 5 years unless it's going to go.
Ask Jimmy at Whiskey's.
Well, that's a good one. I don't go in whiskeys myself,
All right.
but that's up to you.
So would the board like to make a decision tonight?
I'd like to make a motion that we postpone this and hold on to it till after the first of the year so we can think it out. I think there's a lot of unanswered questions. One thing, let me say this. We've got, I don't know how many dollars in that building. If anybody could throw a number at me, I'd appreciate it.
Well,
We got an opportunity from one of these people to buy it for $100. We got an opportunity from the other person to buy it for $88,000, but he's going to come back and ask for money. The other one is too. We've got an opportunity from a man that's in the restaurant building to come in here, ask us to redo it at his design, at our expense. I agree with that. But we still own it, we lease it, and we got a yearly income to help us get our money back. Folks, that's the way I feel.
And Your Honor, if I may, something to think about when you look at these properties, I do think it's very important that we lease them, that we don't sell them, and here's why. One, everything Mr. Seymour Sr. said, I echo. The most important thing that we can do with these properties is guide the way that they exist on an ongoing basis. Once we sell those buildings, we lose control forever. And if you're worried about property tax, I mean, that firehouse might generate $1,500 a year in property tax, which we wouldn't even get all of that. You know, an average monthly lease would generate way more than that every single month on an ongoing basis. And restaurants have a very high percentage failure rate, and if that business fails and another business needs to go in, then we still own the business, still own the building. We can do exactly what we're doing here tonight again, which is pick which business comes in, what it looks like, how it fits in with the rest of our businesses, and control is the most important thing.
The same argument can be made by the person that owns it. We'll have to find another operator to keep his business in.
Does he?
Yeah, he doesn't have to.
I'm saying the argument
he could
could
park
be
an
made for
RV
him.
in there. We've seen that before. That's the problem.
I don't think he's gonna
Anything
park
can
it.
happen in either way. I don't see either way as bad, selling it or leasing it. We've sold it. Oh hell, we've sold it 3 times.
Yes, we have.
But I mean, if you think about these buildings, if you get $2,500 a year in property tax, that would be on the high end. I mean, Dennis, I think the building I'm in is $3,000 a year in property tax. But not all of that comes back to the city. So
I pay $7,000 for my little bank building down here.
okay, let's say $7,000 a year. That's a whole year where we could have an ongoing lease.
No, I'm just
for it.
saying.
Yeah,
I'm just saying.
no, yeah, it's just something to think about. I mean, it's up to you guys.
Mr. Chairman?
Motion by
Okay,
Paul
go ahead.
Senior at the moment.
I'll comment when you're done.
Is there anybody who wants to second that? What exactly was his motion? If you
Postpone.
would repeat it,
To
please.
postpone until January,
Postpone till
making a
January.
decision.
Do I have a second to Mr. Seymour's
I'll second.
motion? I got a second by Owen. All in favor?
Aye.
All against?
Aye, or nay, rather.
That's 2-2.
All right.
Am I right?
Sounds like an instrument.
Do we have to do a roll call first?
Yes, roll call. Member Owen Cross.
Yes.
Member Randy Abner.
Nay.
Member Dennis Hutchins.
Nay.
Member Paul Seymour Sr.
Yes.
And the tiebreaker would be for you, Chairman.
Seat got hotter.
Yeah.
See if we can work a way out of this, guys. How about we set up another work session?
Bill's got something, Tony.
Well,
Oh, wait, we'll finish the.
yeah, we got to finish this voting here first, Mel. We got to finish the vote first, bud.
Go ahead and vote.
Just did.
Just a
No, we're
reminder
waiting
to
on-
the chairman.
No,
It's your idea to
it's-
determine, get this through tonight.
I'm voting to go ahead and make the vote and pick them tonight. Now,
Thank
Mel,
you.
you got something to say, bud?
Mr. Chairman, the one thing that I didn't hear out of any of these proposals, I don't think, at least, was how much money are they going to require from the city?
Well, there are some basic amounts in there, but we're not going for the money right now, Mel. This is for Brian to work out the agreement
Well, you will
with
be
them.
going for the money because you're going to decide on who's going to get the building.
True. True.
So I think when they come back, whatever you all decide, but I would like to hear how much money. Do they want $1 million? Do they want $200? Do they want $250,000?
Well, Mel, they said they wanted us to participate in a 200, I'm talking about Rizzo.
Mr. Chairman? Please.
But I didn't hear this one or this one.
May I address that, please?
Sure. Okay, Brian, go ahead.
Okay.
Maybe you'll answer your question now.
Logically, would be to go into another level of detail of the deal. We would have to know how much our participation was in the build-out.
Yes.
The expectation today was, do they, again, I will also compliment the proposals. I kind of toned mine down a little bit because I didn't want to have an advantage. I'm just teasing. But I'm just teasing, promise. But when we evaluate tonight, we're talking about highest and best use. We've talked about having a plan, which we've kind of stumbled around but haven't really agreed to go into. But is that a highest and best use of that place? And I believe, generally speaking, we've all agreed that a full service restaurant, bar, and that sort of venue would be the best use for that thing. Haven't necessarily voted that way, but the consensus has certainly led us to believe that. We talk about lease versus acquisition. Lease does provide us some control. Acquisition, we've sold a building before, and we can have clawbacks, but getting that back and how long it sits empty or how long it struggles, who knows? There's certainly risk with lease, but that's when you visit other communities and you talk to other communities, they've chosen to do leases on buildings like this when they're directly adjacent to a significant investment and wanted to maintain some control for a while. I'm not advocating one way or the other. I'm just saying it's a viable option. It's a viable option. Experience, I think, we can rate the experience with these folks. Impact on the public, what kind of product they have, the volume in sales. I mean, if we have a proposal of $400,000 versus a proposal of $700,000, the $700,000 in gross sales would certainly indicate, depending on the product, but certainly indicate more interaction, more people moving around, higher sales volume, rent or lease payments. Character development, I think they all scored very high in that. I think financially, there was no conditions to worry about. And I think speed to market, all these folks can get there fairly quickly with their skill sets that they currently have. So in general, I think those are the characteristics we need to think about. And then if we choose a direction tonight, we would go into another level of detail and get closer to a development agreement. But it depends on what we have to put in the product.
What we were doing.
All right. I agree, but I think one thing that the mission of the Redevelopment Commission is to acquire properties, market the properties, sell the properties for a tax base.
Got it, bud.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mel. Do I have a motion? You've talked enough. Paul, come on.
All good.
It's simple math. So all I would ask is if you guys, it's what Dad said, you bring in a little income. Well, you got your $80,000 in it, and I think Michael's right. I mean, Bob said 200 grand. I paid attention quite a few years back. It's going to be more than 200 grand. You have no restrooms, you have no kitchen, you have no electric, you have no water, you have no HVAC. Did you just hear that cha-ching, cha-ching going on?
You got a half a sprinkler.
You got a whole lot of things that's got to be done in that building. So my question is what I'd like to see, and I'm not going to say for it or against it. All I'm going to ask you is can we supply our guys with a let's say we agree to put $200,000 in that building. Now, if the fellow wants more than that, maybe we can do a chart. Here's what it looks like with us investing $200,000 in it. Here's what it looks like with us invested $300,000. I think that would be good for these guys to see, and it might help them make their choice. So that's all I'm saying. Because I've heard good about all the stuff going on here, and I think it would help you make a decision, and I think the idea about the work session is a good idea. You don't have to wait till the next meeting, do you?
Nope.
So,
All we were trying to do was to get to that point with an operator and then find out what that operator's needs are. And then we can talk about that number. That's all Brian was saying, was everything you just said, Brian was saying.
well, but you guys don't have any information. Yeah, he wants to lease
And we're
it.
going to go to step 2.
Okay. That's make big.
But we're starting a process here
We're going to
tonight.
pick one or not?
Yeah,
pick
and
one?
just so I'm not misunderstood,
In the process.
again,
You want to pick one?
we wouldn't enter into any kind of an agreement until we know what our build-out expenses are in any of the 3 scenarios.
You want a
We would
motion?
have to know that
Got to
number.
make a motion to do it.
So based on their layout, we would have to get design and construction cost estimates at a fairly close estimate.
So we're ready
I think
for a
we've
motion.
discussed it enough.
Well, how can we pick one when we don't have a deal? What Mr. Seymour Jr. is saying is
No,
need
we do.
all
We're-
3.
We're picking
Del,
one
we know
that
what we're
we
doing.
thought that we think best fits our park for the restaurant to be next to it. What food, the menu and stuff that they're going to have. What type of restaurant. That's what we're picking tonight out of these 3. And then they're going to work with Brian for a development. If that's what you guys want to do. If you don't want to do that.
I do. I want to start the process.
So I'm looking for a motion from somebody for something.
All right, I'll put a motion in that we select the Rizzo Group to start the process and continue with Mr. Messmore. And we go through all the budget issues with them. If that doesn't work out, we'll have to come back. I'm sorry, Bob, we'll have to come back and go to a second choice. My second choice is Justin's group,
Right.
and therefore it would be the other. That's my motion.
Well, that's a long motion. Did you get
Well,
that,
the
Kelly?
motion is we go with the Rizzo Group.
Go with Rizzo.
To
Okay,
begin
good.
the process with finding a budget and everything else.
Right. So I have a motion by Dennis for Rizzo picking the restaurant, and do I have a second?
Second his motion.
And a second by Randy. All in favor?
Aye.
All against?
Me.
This one? Only one against?
No, there's no.
You're against it?
All right, roll call. Member Owen Cross.
Oh, sorry. Yes,
write this down.
I agree that we
Okay.
table it.
Okay. Member Randy Abner.
Yes.
Member Dennis Hutchins.
4.
And Member Paul Seymour
Against-
Sr.
Can I say something? I still don't think that was a very good presentation, and I don't believe the third member got an opportunity, and I think he should have one.
So Tony, it's
It's
you.
2-2 again.
It's you again. Yes.
I'll vote for it. Pick Rizzo's and moving on.
So what do you want us to do?
Pretty simple. Mr. Rizzo is going to get with Brian. They're going to come up with a development agreement. They're going to have what restaurant people you have in there, and menu and everything, and come back to us, and we're going to say, yes, we'll do it, or we'll say, no, we won't do it.
And a budget.
And a budget. All right?
City
And then if that don't
contribution.
work out, then one of the other 2 will get it. And one of the other 2, I would strongly suggest start thinking about that Union Hall, because I think it's a lot better building and a lot less work. But that's just me.
Thank you, Justin, and your wife, for coming tonight.
Yes, thank you. So do we have that straightened out now?
Yes, sir.
All right. Now we'll move on to, oh wait a minute, we still got some more on the new business. 230 William Street, Brian Messmore.
I got to get myself back together here. Thank you. That was a healthy discussion. Okay. 230 William Street. If you will remember, several months ago, we discussed the option of having that house appraised and, for potential demolition and making the lot available for new construction. The board at the time did not, we offered $25,000 and they rejected that, and we just held steady. Since that time, the property owner has contacted me and is willing to sell that property for $25,000. So,
I'd like to say something to just ask motion to go ahead and purchase this property. It's an eyesore in Lawrenceburg. It's a safety factor.
So moved.
We just need to get rid of it.
And I'll second it.
All right, motion by Dennis, second by Paul Senior. All in favor?
Aye.
There we go. We cut that.
I have a comment, Mr. Chairman, about that lot.
You've always got a comment.
I know. I went over for the weekend and I looked at it, and
I wasn't even done.
damn it, tree there.
This property here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd like you to take a look
It
at
looks
it.
a lot better on the outside. The inside's even worse. Trust me. I've never
Just take a look at that tree for sure.
I'll preserve it.
Mike, you have something?
A question. Since you're doing this, do you want me to go ahead and start working on a demo package?
That's what I was going to ask next. Do we need to vote on, make a motion to
Include
for a demo
the
package?
demo.
So I'm
He's
taking.
made an offer, we've accepted it, so we're going to move forward, so he should put the demo in motion.
I agree. With
done that before.
well, I think as long as if we agree
motion.
we're going to buy a house and tear it down, I probably ought to be able to move through those steps anyway. But there is a foundation there that may be worth trying to save, Mike. I don't know
Is there
to
a
build on.
basement in it?
I don't know. I'm not a big construction guy, but
Carl told me.
just keep that in your mind. It might be worth doing.
Basement.
I don't think there is.
If it is, it's stone. There's a crawl
Hey,
space.
this is unusual, Mike,
Space.
but there's a gigantic tree on that lot. I mean, it's a big one. Do we trim it or take it down?
There again, I'm not even in position to.
No, but I'm just saying, for somebody to rebuild on that lot, it's a small lot.
I'll have to take a look at it.
Would you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Do I need a motion for the demolition of it or not?
Yeah.
Just go ahead and I would make a
Yeah, I
new
make a motion that Mike start the process on the demo as well.
Okay. I got a motion by Dennis, second by Paul Senior. All in favor? Aye. Everybody in agreement? That motion passed. Moving on to 531, 533 West High Street.
Okay, I was approached by the property owner who owns both of these properties. They are adjacent properties. One has a dwelling on it, and one is a vacant lot. The property owner has reasonably assured me that they would be willing to accept the average of 2 appraisals, unless something really went wacko with the appraisals. My point is, the property owner understands that that's our deal. It's the average of the 2 appraisals. The only caveat to that, it has been rented, so we would refer to our rent incentive thing where we pay up to 12 months rent if it's been rented, not to exceed $1,200.
Wasn't it an average of something? Or?
It's the average of 2 appraisals plus this chart that we created in last year. I think we only used it once or twice.
Based on the rent?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that kind of, actually, I think that was your idea.
I think we should authorize Mr. Messmore to continue.
Okay, I have a motion to go out for appraisals.
Yeah.
Well,
we have one. We have one.
No, we have to get 2 independent.
We can't use his?
No.
No.
Okay, so we have to do it.
All right. So a motion by Dennis to go out and get 2 appraisals. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Paul Senior.
Agree.
Everybody agrees. Motion passed. Anything else under new business?
We approve.
Move.
Mm-hmm.
Move on to old business.
Made the motion.
Main Street update. Miss Pat or
All right.
Ryan?
Do we?
We provided in your packets the activities in Main Street. We just wrapped up. We had was that a design committee meeting or an economic design committee meeting?
Economic.
That was economic vitality. I get those mixed up.
I really do.
So, I guess any comments from the board? I think we will make some minor modifications to some of the applications to include a little more due diligence on the estimation side of the projects, although they're only paid after the project is complete. But we're a little vague on a couple applications, and I think we can tighten that up. Other than that, I thought the program went pretty well this year. And, my intention or recommendation would be to refund those programs to the level that they were when we began last year. And we'll get those numbers to you.
Oh, it's separate just in here, and the other place here. Okay.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, they have a copy of the sheet. If
Hey,
they,
Brian, your comments, yeah, we're very happy with it on redevelopment, I think. I think you've done a great job for it, Pat's office, and you make the meetings, correct?
Yeah.
And as long as we have our due diligence there, I'm happy with it.
They even have them move the meetings during golf season.
That's fine, too. That's fine. Pat and I had a little discussion earlier about when I asked her to put something on there, and they're going to do that for me. The dates, Anna, or whatever it was, so, it's easier to judge where you are with it, so, with the dates.
Well, moving on.
Well, how do we stand on funding with them? Are we good, or?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we'll just need to do some calculation and move some money over at the beginning of the year, I guess with the intention to refund those positions to their original funding levels, which will be, of course, minus the dollars that are remaining.
Well,
in
I
the account.
see Justin is still here. You do some work for some of the houses I've noticed on the report. Is that you?
Yes.
Yeah, and thank you for that. We appreciate it.
It's been a great asset to the community.
Well, you're representing us too, not just Main Street. So.
The owner-occupied residents that are currently here that aren't building a new house and qualify for the new house assistance.
You've done some roofs and some other things.
All
kinds of stuff, yeah.
Yeah, it's
a big factor. It is.
Good program.
Moving on, urban fast forward. And apparently this was brought up the last meeting, and I wasn't here, so you guys put it off to this meeting.
You were AWOL.
Yeah, I was under the knife. My opinion here is, like tonight, we have 3 businesses here for 1 building. Our other buildings that we own, the other property around that park, we haven't had any interest at all.
At all?
Not all that I know of. I think there was one restaurateur in Aurora that was interested in one, but he's kind of dropped out of the...
Well, it depends. I've talked to a coffee shop. I've talked to a guy who had a different idea, but there has been no traction on any ideas for that particular building. Nothing that anybody is prepared to bring forward for any sort of discussion.
We're talking about the Carpenters Union, or the
No,
whole
I have
Union,
zero.
High Street,
have had
our
zero
empty
interest
lots.
in the Carpenters Union. I've had slight interest in the row house, but nobody willing to take the step that these gentlemen and ladies took this evening. So unless somebody knows something I don't know, I haven't got anybody else for those buildings.
So, to move on, I know we have to pay this woman, but what she can bring to us, I think, makes up for what we have to pay. She can bring restaurateurs in here that are willing to put their money into this.
Back to that.
Yes, we're back there. It's on.
Dead issue.
It's on the agenda, buddy, right there. So it's going to be a dead issue after this vote here.
Okay,
Hope
this
to
is
God.
what I like to hear.
So, my opinion is, she can bring restaurants in here, she can bring investors in here that will more than make up for any money that we pay her. Now, you guys are the board, you can
Just
vote and do what you want to
Give a
do.
local guy a restaurant. He brought himself in.
That's right, you're right.
Can I
On
make
one
a
building-
compromise suggestion?
Sure, bud. Go.
Why don't we wait until a few months? No, not. Why don't we wait a few months and see what kind of activity we get into next spring? And if it's still an issue, readdress it.
I don't think, will she wait that long?
Well, where is she going? She lives in the area, right? I mean,
The park will be open in June.
Well, as long as the expectations are fair, I put out a timeline with you guys, we haven't had overwhelming response. We're, trying to continue to find better ways to reach out and reach more. The park opens in June. I mean, it's obvious, we will be fortunate and maybe likely to have the firehouse, if not open, pretty close to that point. I think realistically,
Don't you think that'll make a difference, though?
yeah, well, I think, we have vacant lots around town. Those would maybe require some outside resources to find some investors for Scudder Thomas, for the Burnout lot, for Durbin Plaza, which would also, by default benefit some of the other businesses in the community and property owners. There's
I guess my
more than
problem is
just
I'm
a
getting
couple
used to
buildings.
how it looks. I don't know.
So, it's,
Sir, in the back, you wanted to say something? Yeah. I'll give you a chance here.
Eric.
Your name, please?
Yep, Eric Kranz, president of the Dearborn County Chamber of Commerce. Just wanted to make a couple of comments. I've had the discussion with Paul a few times. I definitely respect his opinion and where he's coming from on bringing in any consultant. I don't particularly care whether it's Kathleen or whoever it may be. I have met Kathleen once. She seemed fine and knew what she was doing. But from my perspective, we talk about things like the and that it'll be bringing in and having millennials knocking the door down, and we'll have all these millennials we need to service and things like that, and hopefully, I don't know that we necessarily have our fingers on the pulse of what millennials are interested in, or what will make them happy or keep them here, get them to spend their dollars in Dearborn County or in Lawrenceburg. So I think having that expertise and taking the time and working with someone who can, whose job is basically and has proven in the past that they're capable of developing a neighborhood in such a way that does appeal to those sorts of folks. And you look at everyone does it a little bit differently. That sort of Brian mentioned, which was purchasing the buildings and leasing them out. Other developments have done it differently, where they've been happy to sell to proven developers. But when you bring in someone who has done this across multiple neighborhoods and in multiple different settings, who has experience maybe doing all of these different it just adds a lot. They could take a look at the proposals that came today and say, hey, this would make sense as a lease. This makes sense as a purchase, and let them operate it. And I just think, there's to bring someone in if you have the resources to do so, and it's not a slight to admit that, hey, we're not experts at what X demographic wants or what Y folks are looking to spend their money on. So to me, I think there's a lot of value in bringing someone in who you are comfortable with, does have that capability, and when you look at it as compared to potentially advertising an RFP, to me she's probably cheaper if you're looking to get that RFP out there. So from these environment to we've done good things and done things that we can learn from, and maybe it wouldn't hurt to bring someone in. It's not my money. It's always easy to spend someone else's money. That we have put in and will continue to put in. Hopefully it was useful.
Eric, as part of your work with the chamber, you deal with a lot of other cities and other chambers. Is it common for city redevelopment commissions to bring in an expert like Urban Fast Forward?
So before I was with the chamber, I was a consultant for about 8 years with working in small communities here throughout Dearborn County, or throughout Southeast Indiana, so covering about 13 counties here with the Small Business Development Center. Everyone does it a little bit differently. I will say, when it something in the a $30,000 spend for an outside consultant, I don't think I've seen anyone be real or have any negative feelings about something like that. I have seen situations where a community further west maybe spent like $250,000 on a consultant, and that was regretted. And not the best investment for some of the small communities. But again, unless you have I'm just not sure how you're going to go about getting those folks or satisfying those folks' needs. So to me, if millennials is what you want, you should probably find someone who's got a history of attracting that demographic. Thank you.
All righty, moving on. Anyone else?
Oh, wait, you got someone else.
Tom wanted to come up.
Oh, Tom?
I'm Palmer, I chair of the Downtown Partnership. I second that 100%. I mean, absolutely. I think what you guys are trying to do is very difficult. I mean, just with the decision of trying to decide between the 3 different proposals a day. I mean, that's very difficult, especially in your position, backgrounds, whatever. To bring in an outside counsel would be huge. I think it would really help to bring in a different perspective. What's the downside?
Money.
$3,500 a month?
That's what you heard.
Plus commissions with ongoing leases?
6 or 7% commission at the end of the deal.
Yep, I get that.
Plus, she's got monies running back and forth from Ohio.
Okay, I get that. My professional job, I work on commissions. Who do you think has more effort into getting the job done and completed well? Somebody that's getting paid?
And this guy right here is from Greendale.
I get that.
And he's got the firehouse now.
I get that.
We didn't have to go out of town. This place will sell itself.
What concerns you about maybe that outside source seeing a way to help him?
Help him?
Build around him. Complement that business. I don't see the downside from it.
I mean, that.
If you just take the amount that they've lost on the firehouse and invest that with an outside counsel, get a different perspective. Well, I don't get the downside.
I wasn't in.
I mean, we give $80,000 to a barbecue joint. I mean, nothing personal, but what does it hurt?
Well, I'll tell you what, I wish you had a list of all the monies that went out the window.
So why not try something different?
Actually, we do have a list.
Do we?
Tom, who are the entities on the Downtown Development Commission?
Who's the entities?
Yeah, what groups are represented and part of that?
We got Main Street. We obviously have the city. We have a council member, LCD member, a chamber president.
Got merchants, right?
We did have a sheriff. We have Ivy Tech. It's a bunch of good individuals. It absolutely is.
His job, that guy sitting right over there, I'm going to point at him again, is to do just exactly what you were talking about.
Okay.
Her job is to work towards that. They work together. Why do we need an outsider to come in and tell those two what to do?
Her job. You're talking about Kathleen? Or?
I guess. Hell,
So you're confused with what their jobs are?
I know what his job is. I know what her job's supposed to be.
You think that he can replace her with her background and what she's done before?
She doesn't even have an Indiana realtor license, and you're bringing in here to...
I'm not saying just her. I said outside counsel. I really am not worried about who it is.
What we're talking about here
but to
is
see a fresh perspective from outside, something different than what we've been doing. All the vacant lots that are out there. And we sent out an RFP, and we got 3 proposals, right? It was local people, which is great, and I think it's great to have local individuals. But who says we can't build on it?
Well, Tom, I agree with you on something different than we have been doing, but I think this redevelopment committee council has been doing a lot more than previous councils.
I'll give you that.
I think we will continue to do more.
But do you think that you're 100% ready to put something all the way around this park? Do you think that you guys are 100% ready and you have history in doing that?
You've already heard that tonight in other ways. You know we're not ready.
Right. So what would it hurt?
I didn't say it was going to hurt anything. All I said tonight was, why don't we revisit it in a few months? That's all I said.
But the park's going to be done in June, right?
Pardon me?
The park's going to be done in June, correct? So let's wait a few more months before we make a decision on even if we're going to do that. Just, I don't know, it doesn't make sense to me, but, I mean, no offense whatsoever, guys. I mean, what you're doing right now, I think is difficult, but I think an outside counsel would help you a ton. That's my thoughts. I do appreciate it.
Thank you, Tom. Anybody else? Sir? A lot of.
Good evening. My name's Andrew Lowe Miller. I'm the broker owner for Lowe Miller Real Estate, brokerage here in town. So I think that this redevelopment council has done a fabulous job in Lawrenceburg. Look at where this town has come in the last few years. It's amazing, and I think that we're going to continue to go further. That said, I do agree a lot with what these gentlemen said about outside counsel, but Mr. Seymour Senior there brought up a really good point, and I think that part of what you need to look at is what these towns who have used places like Urban Fast Forward have done before. So Kathleen Norris, to my knowledge, is not a licensed real estate broker. She can bring you very valuable counsel, and my personal opinion is that you should hire her. However, I also think that you need to look at what the limitations are of what someone like Kathleen Norris can do. All right, if you get into paying her commissions, you're going to be in violation of Indiana Code 25 and Administrative Code 876, and you might want to look at that. So, can you pay her consulting fees? Can you pay her, fees to review contracts and give counsel? Absolutely. Can she do a good job of that? For sure. The other thing is you need to look at the reality of what somebody can do on a $3,500 a month stipend, right? So the amount of marketing that somebody can do for $3,500 a month is going to be very limited in scope. I mean, because she has to take money home to feed her family too and pay for her business. So it's not like she's going to be compiling targeted mailing lists to, millennial capturing businesses across the United States. That's just simply not possible. So just from the standpoint of a rhetorical question, if you were going to open a business in another state somewhere that you're not aware of, what's the first thing you're going to do? You're going to go online and start looking for real estate for sale. If you were going to sell your car today, I mean, you could run around the streets of downtown Lawrenceburg asking, about people who are looking for a car similar to yours, or you could post it on Auto Trader. And, so the reality of selling things in 2018 is very simple. You use the economy of the internet. That's something that only a licensed real estate broker can do for you. You have a lot of very good brokers here in Lawrenceburg. My company is one. There's several others. Plenty of people that could do a great job for you. If you think about pursuing this avenue, and I'm not telling you to do it or not do it, I would suggest that you take proposals from licensed real estate brokers in the state of Indiana, as well as outside consultants who are familiar with developing, cities.
Maybe to work in tandem?
Together, for sure, because the two can complement each other. So, I'm not going to claim to be a city planner by any stretch of the imagination, but I am a real estate broker, and, and she's one and not the other. So that's just something I wanted to put in front of your council. And if you guys do, decide to look at this further, I would highly suggest you look at proposals from real estate brokers who can market your properties on a national scale. There's several of us in town. I brought Kaiser Pickle up here on Route 50. We're bringing O'Reilly's Auto Parts on Route 50. We just pinned a $800,000 deal that I can't speak about yet, but that's coming here to town. And that's all just from using national marketing platforms on the internet. It's really not rocket science.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, can I ask Andy a question? Not to put you totally on the spot, but now that you're back, is your tour? Two questions. Is your tour done for a while? Are you here now again?
Well, so I've always been a citizen of the United States.
Last time I saw you, you were in the emergency room next to me. Okay.
Yeah.
That's how long it's been.
No, so I have 3 years left on till I retire from the Indiana Army National Guard. I may extend. But that's aside from my business. We're a 90-person organization.
Are you in the process? You had talked to us about it one time. Or is it too early to talk about that?
So I don't want to speak out of turn from, but we are still pursuing that.
Okay, I just wanted to know.
We're in engineering and design phase, and the partner who I have, we're gonna talk to you guys again sometime.
That's great.
All right.
Anyways, I just want to throw that out there.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Good job, Tony. Good job. Oh, the resolution on, I don't want to be the stick in the mud here. If you want to proceed it down the road, I'm fine with that.
Except for, we can put it up for a vote tonight to
Well,
hire
Your-
her or don't hire her.
Your Honor, if I may, quickly, I mean, now we've heard from Mr. Lowmiller, we've heard from Mr. Palmer and Mr. Kranz. They represent the Chamber of Commerce and the Downtown Development Consortium. They've spoken in favor of this project. Mr. Messmore and Ms. Brookbank would like us to hire this expert. And what I'd like everyone to remember is Urban Fast Forward came to us because they see how special this community is. Urban Fast Forward doesn't need to work with us. They are incredibly successful on a big level. And what they do and what they're good at is exactly what they need. They develop what we need. They develop historic downtown communities. They developed over the Rhine. They're developing all the communities around over the Rhine. And that process is so specialized and is so difficult to maneuver and pull off. It's not fair to say, well, Brian, you're the development director, you should just do all of this. He has a part to play in this, and just like it wouldn't be fair to say, you guys are the redevelopment commission, you guys go out and find businesses to fill these spots.
We don't get paid for that, though.
Well, sure, but I mean, my point is we all need to work together, and we all have parts to play in this process. To make a downtown grow again into what we want, which is the downtown everyone remembers from decades ago, and to take advantage of the national trend, which is downtowns are growing again. People want to live in downtown. People want to raise their families in downtowns. People want to have businesses in downtowns. On the one end, I would agree with Mr. Palmer. What does it hurt? Why not take this chance? It can only help. And on the other end, if we don't do this, we're passing up an incredible opportunity. This is one of the most, if not the most successful downtown developer that came to us that wants to make Lawrenceburg into something special that we all see. But she can see it from across the river, which says volumes. It's just like Flaherty and Collins coming to us and saying, this town is special, and because it's special, we want to be here. And to pass that opportunity up, I think, would be a huge mistake. And I care about this a lot because I work with you guys every day. I work with Kelly and Brian every day. I'm from here. I grew up here. I used to go to Lloyd's and buy toys when I was a kid. I want this downtown to be everything it can be. And I think this person is the right person to make that happen. And even if she's not, why not try? Don't we owe it to ourselves to at least try?
So, I'm looking for a motion to hire Urban Fast Forward or to not hire. Move forward.
Well, I'll make a motion that we don't hire her.
I figured that. Do I have a second
I have a
not to
second.
hire her?
I'll second it.
Okay, I got a first and a second. Do I? Make the motion. We've had the motion. We need a vote.
Nobody said what we're hiring her at, dollars and cents.
We've had that package in front of us before. Paul.
About
That's
3
not what's-
times.
That's not what's on the table, though, Paul.
I know that.
So, all in favor of hiring or not hiring Urban Fast Forward?
Aye.
Aye.
See it, and I can see it on both sides.
I agree.
See both ends. Could we go out for quotes on something like this to get some other people involved in that?
We'll never beat these quotes. This woman is downright the lowest it's ever going to be from anybody. Trust me, I've been in this a long time. I've seen a lot of these quotes. She's really come down. But I just
I'm
need
in
a vote.
favor.
Huh?
I'm in favor, you know.
You're in favor of
Yes.
Hunting, so that would be no then. He's
Say
in.
again?
He's making motion to not hire her.
Paul is.
I disagree.
And I second it.
Okay. So I have a no by Owen. Randy.
I think we need to look at it.
Can't look at it. We got yay or nay.
I'd say no, not this time.
Okay, no, not the.
No. What they agree, what they talked about. I just don't think we're
3-1
this time.
It's 3-1. They burn that up. Okay, moving on to approval of claims once properly certified. Motion. Make a motion to pay the claims. Does anybody want to pay the claims?
And
I'm
we
sorry.
play the
So moved.
I got a motion by Dennis. Do I
I'll
have a
second that.
Second by Randy. All in favor.
Aye.
Comments from the
They ain't
audience.
too big.
I think you're all well talked out, though, aren't you?
Yeah.
Moving on. Motion to adjourn.
Tough night. So
So
moved.
moved.
Second. Paul. Motion by Dennis. Second. All in favor. Meeting adjourned. Now I can go work on furnaces.
Tonight about her.
I'm saying,
Until
now's
Jeff
the opportunity to get
And he doesn't mind.
I don't know, but I know, but I still think it's worth taking. Not sorry.
We can bring it back.
Huh?
I've done a lot of
Got
things.
to put it back till,